welcome to today's deep dive.
Hey, great to be here with you.
Yeah, we are spending our time today unpacking a really fascinating and extensive interview with financial psychology expert Morgan Housel.
Oh, it is such a good one.
It really is. And we have a very specific mission for you listening right now. We are going straight for the practical stuff.
Right, the real mechanics.
Exactly. We're going to extract the ultimate beginner's action plan for, automating your savings and building a true financial cushion.
Which everyone needs.
Totally. And we're pairing that with a complete ground-up reset of your money mindset.
That mindset piece is huge. You really can't have one without the other.
No, you can't. But to get there, we have to start by shattering this massive misconception that the sources address right away.
Oh, the intelligence thing.
Yeah. Like, think about it this way. If you needed open heart surgery, you wouldn't just grab someone off the street who never finished high school.
I mean, I certainly hope not.
Right. You would demand the absolute best. A Harvard-trained surgeon with decades of flawless, specialized experience.
Of course. Because in almost every professional field, specialized intelligence and elite education are the undisputed gatekeepers to success.
Exactly. But when it comes to money, Housel argues that what keeps people broke isn't a lack of intelligence at all.
Not even a little bit.
It is strictly ignorance and behavior. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, the contrast is stark because finance is arguably the only major discipline where this specific dynamic plays out.
It's so weird when you really think about it.
It is. I mean, you can look at the landscape and find a Harvard-educated Wall Street MBA, right?
Right.
Someone with the best analytical training and network in the world, and they completely implode. They go bankrupt, and that happens constantly.
Which is wild.
Yeah, and simultaneously, you can find a high school dropout who has never taken a single finance course in their life, yet they manage to build immense generational wealth.
You would never, ever see that in an operating room.
Exactly. You'd never see an uneducated person outperforming a trained surgeon. Or, a self-taught amateur designing a safer suspension bridge than an MIT engineer.
Right.
The bridge would collapse. It would. But in finance, that exact inversion happens every single day. And it points to a really profound reality.
Which is what?
That financial success is not a hard science. It's a soft skill. It's entirely about how you behave, how you manage your own ego, and how you react to fear and greed.
I feel like for you, the listener, that is actually incredibly empowering.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it means financial independence is entirely within your control. It's not locked behind some gate of specialized pedigree or whatever.
Right. It fundamentally shifts the battlefield from a math test to a psychology test.
Yeah. But before we get to the mechanical, actionable steps for building that cushion, the sources make it clear we have to understand the psychological traps first.
We have to map out those mental hurdles.
Because those are the things that actively force us to spend the money we already have. And a lot of that friction comes down to a deceptively simple formula.
The happiness equation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The idea that happiness is just the gap between your expectations and your reality.
Right. That gap is the metric that dictates how you perceive your entire life. If your reality grows, but your expectations grow faster.
You're miserable.
Basically, yeah. Your actual experience of happiness shrinks.
The interview brings in this brilliant analogy about Will Smith that perfectly illustrates the danger of that gap.
Oh, I love this part.
Right. So when he was young, he was poor and dealing with severe depression. But he actually had this psychological safety net, which was hope.
Because he could blame the lack of money.
Exactly. He could look at his difficult reality and tell himself, well, if I just had more money, all of this internal pain would disappear.
The money was finish line.
Yeah, it gave his struggle a purpose. But then he became incredibly wealthy. And the terrifying part was, he was still depressed.
Oh, man.
The psychological crutch was completely kicked out from under him because the if I only had money excuse just apparated.
His reality met his ultimate expectation.
Right, the gap closed, and he realized the money didn't fix the internal machinery at all.
What's fascinating here is how our societal expectations have systematically spiraled out of control.
Oh, totally.
Making that gap wider for the average person today than perhaps at any other point in history.
It's exhausting.
It really is. The sources point back to what we often nostalgically view as the golden era of the American middle class, the 1950s.
Right.
The statistical reality of a successful middle-class family back then was vastly different from our modern perception.
How so?
Well, they were living in an 800 square foot house.
Wow. That is tiny.
Yeah, children were crammed into a single shared bedroom. There was no air conditioning, no modern appliances, and certainly no international vacations.
But wait, isn't pointing to the 1950s just romanticizing the past?
How do you...
Well, surely modern conveniences like medical advancements, the internet, climate control, objectively improve our baseline human experience compared to living in a cramped, unair-conditioned box, right?
Well, objectively, yes. The material conditions of daily life have drastically improved.
Okay.
But the sources aren't arguing that the 1950s were technologically superior. They are strictly analyzing the psychology of comparison.
Ah, got it.
Human brains evolved in small tribal communities. We are biologically wired to assess our status and our safety by comparing ourselves to the 50 or 100 people immediately around us.
So in the 1950s, that family in the 800-square-foot house looked out their window and compared themselves to their physical neighbors.
Who were living in the exact same 800-square-foot houses.
Right. Their localized reference group was identical to their own reality.
Exactly. The expectations gap was effectively zero, which fostered this deep sense of contentment.
But today, that evolutionary mechanism has been completely hijacked.
Oh, completely. You aren't comparing yourself to your geographic neighbor anymore.
No, you're comparing yourself to a globalized, highly curated reference group.
Delivered through the most sophisticated algorithms ever engineered.
Right, on platforms like Instagram or TikTok. So you open your phone and you are immediately bombarded by the top 0.1% of global lifestyles.
Yes.
You're comparing your mundane Tuesday morning to someone else's highlight reel in Dubai.
Precisely. The algorithm systematically inflates your expectations every time you look at a screen.
It's like a treadmill you can't get off.
Yeah, your objective reality might be improving. Like you might get a raise or buy a slightly nicer car.
Right.
But your expectations are being artificially accelerated at a much faster rate. It completely breaks the brain's ability to feel satisfied.
That distinction really clarifies why we need to separate the concept of chasing happiness from chasing contentment.
They were very different things.
They are. Because happiness, at least in the modern consumer sense, is often framed as a spike in dopamine.
The thrill of the purchase.
Yeah. It's the thrill of getting the next thing. The promotion, the bigger house, the new car. It's an active pursuit.
Whereas contentment is entirely different.
Right. Contentment is the passive state of being okay with what you have in the present moment.
Just being.
Yeah. It's sitting on a beach with your family and possessing the psychological discipline to not let your mind whisper, well, if only we had a nicer cabana like those people over there.
Contentment is the absence of desire.
Wow.
And in a consumer economy that thrives on manufacturing desire, choosing contentment is practically an act of rebellion.
That is so true. Which brings us to the core behavioral problem.
The spending.
Yeah. If we intellectually know that buying more stuff doesn't close that expectations gap or bring lasting contentment, why do we keep doing it?
I think a great question.
The sources point out that our spending isn't actually about the utility of the objects at all. It's about using money as a tool to signal our status to strangers.
Oh, the status game.
Right. And there is a story in the interview that perfectly captures this phenomenon.
Is this the valet story?
Yes. So the author recalls being 19 years old, working as a valet at a luxury 5-star hotel in Los Angeles.
The ultimate vantage point for observing extreme wealth displays.
Totally. He is physically handling the keys to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of machinery every single day.
Ferraris, Lamborghinis.
Rolls Royces, you name it. And one day, he realizes a profound paradox.
Which is...
When a sleek $250,000 Ferrari pulls up to his valet stand, he doesn't look at the driver and think, wow, that person is so impressive and cool.
Right.
He actually ignores the driver entirely.
He doesn't even see them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead, he projects himself into the driver's seat. He imagines how cool people would think he was if he owned that car.
It is the great tragedy of luxury spending.
It really is.
I mean, the drivers swiped their card and bought that car specifically because they wanted to be admired.
He wanted everyone to look at them.
Right. They wanted to signal their importance to the world. But the world doesn't admire them. The bystanders simply use the driver's expensive object as a prop to live out their own personal fantasies of status.
That is wild.
The driver's wealth isn't earning them respect at all. It's just making them a mirror for other people's desires.
I want to introduce a thought experiment here that builds on that idea.
Okay, let's hear it.
Imagine you are stranded on a deserted island.
Just me.
Just you. There is no society, no neighbors, no social media, No one will ever see the shelter you build, the clothes you fashion, or the resources you stockpile.
Okay.
Instantly, your entire framework for evaluating what is valuable completely flips.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Right. Like if you had access to money on that island, your spending would shift entirely from status to utility.
You wouldn't care about a designer logo on your jacket.
Exactly. You'd only care if it kept you warm. You would stop acquiring things to broadcast a signal to invisible strangers, and you would only acquire things that physically improve the quality or comfort of your existence.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that desert island mentality perfectly defines the fundamental difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Oh, that's a great distinction.
Yeah, being rich is loud. It is a highly visible state.
Right.
It means you have a high current income, but you are actively converting that money into visible assets to prove your status.
Like the Vanderbilts.
Yes, the sources highlight the Vanderbilt family in the 1800s as a stark cautionary tale.
They had insane money.
Massive, unimaginable fortunes. But those trust funds came with an implicit societal rule. You must maintain your social dominance by living the most ostentatious life possible.
They essentially became employees of their own wealth.
That's a great way to put it.
Their mansions were just the Gilded Age equivalent of an Instagram post. And the upkeep of that image dictated everything about their lives.
They had boundless financial resources, but absolutely zero psychological independence.
None.
They were forced to perform for their peers. Being wealthy, in contrast, is entirely quiet.
Wealth is the unspent money.
Exactly. It is the portfolio you can't see, the car you chose not to upgrade, the designer watch you left at the store. True wealth provides a utility that far surpasses social status. It buys independence.
Yes.
It buys the autonomy to wake up on a Tuesday and dictate exactly how you will spend the next 24 hours.
Okay, so the philosophy is clear. Unspent money equals independence.
It's a massive paradigm shift.
But, philosophy doesn't pay the rent.
Very true.
It's one thing to agree that wealth is quiet, but when you, the listener, are staring at a zero balance, we need actual mechanics to bridge that gap.
We need steps.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the mechanical, beginner-level action plan the sources provide to build that cushion from absolute scratch.
Step one.
Step one is curing the ignorance we talked about at the beginning.
Because if behavior and awareness dictate financial success, willful ignorance is the primary enemy.
It is. So the first step is to check your bank account balance every single day.
Every day.
It takes 10 seconds. I look at this not like fixing a leak, but more like stepping on a bathroom scale every morning.
Okay, I like that.
You aren't stepping on the scale to lose weight in that exact 10-second window. You are doing it to subconsciously calibrate your behavior for the rest of the day.
That makes total sense.
When you look at the raw numbers of what is coming in and going out, you break the psychological barrier of avoidance.
In behavioral economics, they actually call that avoidance the ostrich effect.
Oh, burying your head in the sand.
Literally. People bury their heads to avoid the psychological discomfort of facing their financial reality.
But by forcing yourself to look at the balance daily, you normalize the data.
Right. You strip the emotional dread away from the numbers, which allows your brain to transition from a state of anxiety to a state of analytical problem solving.
Once that baseline awareness is established, step 2 is the 10% rule.
This is a classic.
It is, but it works. No matter the income source, immediately capture 10% of it.
Just off the top.
Right. If you work a service shift and walk out with a $50 tip, $5 vanishes into savings.
Gone.
If you sell an old piece of furniture online for $100, $10 is gone.
Yeah, but
But let's pause and address the reality for a lot of listeners right now.
sure.
With inflation, rising housing costs, and just general economic anxiety, it is incredibly tempting to look at a $20 savings deposit and think, what is the point?
It feels like a drop in the ocean.
Exactly. The temptation is to just spend the $20 on a meal or a drink today, because $20 isn't going to move the needle on a massive mortgage anyway.
That anxiety is completely rational,
Yeah.
but it leads to a highly destructive behavioral loop.
How so?
The belief that savings only matters if it's a massive lump sum causes people to abandon the habit entirely.
We just give up.
Right. To fix this, you have to fundamentally reframe how you categorize savings in your brain. You cannot view savings as leftover money.
No, definitely not.
And you certainly can't view it as delayed gratification. You must treat that $20 deposit as a fixed, non-negotiable expense.
Identically to how you treat your rent or your electricity bill.
Exactly the same.
But wait, Rent keeps a roof over your head today?
Hmm.
Why treat a tiny savings deposit with that same level of immediate urgency?
Because the probability of you experiencing a major disruptive life event, like a sudden job loss, a severe medical emergency, a completely blown transmission in your car, or, a global recession, is 100%.
It's a guaranteed.
It is entirely guaranteed to happen. Therefore, when you save that $20, you aren't depriving yourself of a dinner today for some ambiguous, abstract retirement 40 years from now.
You're doing it for today.
Right. You are actively going to the market and purchasing $20 worth of independence for when that inevitable crisis hits.
You are buying a reduction in your own cortisol levels.
Yes. You're buying a better night of sleep tonight.
Every dollar is a tiny piece of your future that you own outright, rather than a piece of your future that your boss or a credit card company gets to dictate.
Exactly. And the final piece of this phase is acknowledging that human willpower is a highly depleting resource.
We get tired.
Very tired. If you have to make a conscious choice to move that money every time you get paid, eventually you will fail.
Yeah, decision fatigue will set in.
And present bias, the brain's tendency to value immediate rewards over future stability, will take over.
So what's the fix?
The only foolproof method is to automate it. Set up the routing at your bank so that a fixed amount automatically sweeps into savings the moment your paycheck hits.
Before you ever even see it in your checking account.
You have to entirely remove human emotion from the chain of command.
So you cure the ignorance by checking the balance. You reframe savings as purchasing current independence, and you automate the habit.
Those are the foundational steps.
But once that cushion is successfully building, what ensures that money actually compounds into lifelong freedom?
Oh, this is where the behavioral aspect gets incredibly difficult.
Yeah, the answer is extreme patience.
Extreme.
The sources highlight the story of Ronald Reed. Have you heard this one?
A janitor.
Yes. He spent his entire life working very modest jobs. A janitor and a gas station attendant. He never had high-powered salary.
Right.
Yet, he consistently saved small amounts, invested them in simple equities, and crucially, he just left the money alone for decades.
Didn't touch it.
Nope. When he passed away, he left an estate worth millions of dollars to local charities.
This raises an important question.
Yeah.
How does a behavioral strategy actually execute that kind of growth?
The compounding.
Right.
Yeah.
We all know the basic mechanics of how investing works, right? Putting money into broad index funds and letting the market grow over time.
The math is pretty straightforward.
It is. The actual challenge isn't the math, it's the psychological friction of enduring the timeline.
Just waiting.
Consider the statistics on Warren Buffett. He is universally recognized as the greatest investor of our era, sitting on a net worth of well over $100 billion.
Unbelievable wealth.
But the vital piece of context is that 99% of that wealth was accumulated after his 60th birthday.
Wow. The math on Buffett is always fascinating to me because it completely reframes our modern cultural obsession with, 30 under 30 lists and overnight tech billionaires.
It really does.
The defining variable of his success wasn't actually his stock-picking acumen. It was simply his lifespan and his refusal to interrupt the compounding process.
Compounding is essentially a test of behavioral endurance.
Right.
It requires you to sit on your hands while the money does nothing impressive for the first 10 or 20 years.
Which is agonizing.
It is. The strategy of buying simple, boring index funds and ignoring them sounds easy in theory.
But in practice?
In practice, you are fighting every human instinct to tinker, to react to the news, or to panic.
And there is always a fee for admission. Like, if you aren't paying a massive percentage to a hedge fund manager, you are still paying a steep price.
The fee for this kind of wealth building is emotional volatility.
That's a great way to phrase it.
Think about it like owning a home. You don't get a daily ticker tape flashing in your living room telling you that your house's value just dropped 15% because of local interest rates.
Right. Because the value is hidden, you don't panic and sell your house.
Exactly. But the stock market provides daily to the second liquidity, which is a massive psychological trap.
You literally watch your money disappear in real time.
You do. You have to endure severe market crashes, watching a portfolio you spent a decade building drop by 30% in a month, and have the emotional fortitude to do absolutely nothing.
You don't pay your fees in dollars.
Yeah.
You pay them in uncertainty and cortisol.
That stomach for volatility is the true price of admission.
So for you listening, whether you are 25 years old and just starting to build that initial cushion, or you are 55 and feeling the pressure of a compressed timeline, the underlying truth is the same.
It really is.
Winning this game isn't about memorizing complex economic models or outsmarting institutional traders.
Not at all.
It is entirely about patience. Having the patience to let the market do its job over decades, and having the internal patience to manage your own life expectations so that the gap between your reality and your desires doesn't consume your wealth.
You don't need to execute extraordinary complex maneuvers. You simply need to execute average, consistent behavior for an above-average amount of time.
So what does this all mean?
Let's bring it all together.
Yeah, let's distill everything we've covered into your core action plan. Number 1, confront the data. Check your daily bank balance to banish the ostrich effect and cure financial ignorance.
Step 1, done.
Number 2, automate your savings rate, whether it's 10% or whatever you can manage, treating it as a non-negotiable fixed expense where you are actively purchasing your own independence today.
Love it.
Number 3, channel your money into simple index funds and prepare to pay the emotional fee of market volatility without reacting.
That's the endurance part.
And above all, remember the desert island. You are buying your own time and freedom, not funding a marketing campaign to impress strangers in traffic who are only using your car to think about themselves anyway.
Building directly on that desert island concept, I want to leave you with a final thought to examine in your own life.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've established how spending money to signal status is an exhausting treadmill with no finish line. But imagine if you genuinely internalized this.
Right.
If you reached a point where you only ever allocated resources toward things that provided invisible, true utility to your life, things that generated quiet contentment rather than loud status.
What happens then?
Well, how might that fundamental shift reshape your broader life choices, particularly your career?
Oh, wow.
If the deep-seated urge to display wealth simply vanished overnight, would you even want that high-stress 80-hour-a-week promotion you've been agonizing over?
That is a tough question.
Or would you suddenly realize that you already possess enough resources to be completely free and that your time is far more valuable than the next title? It is something for you to ponder.
It is a profound shift in perspective.
Yeah.
We started this deep dive analyzing the Harvard-trained surgeon, exploring how finance is the one arena where your daily habits consistently defeat specialized pedigree.
It's all about behavior.
It turns out, the most advanced financial skill you can possibly develop isn't predicting macroeconomic trends or gaining access to elite circles.
No.
The ultimate skill is just curing your own behavioral blind spots, automating your good decisions so your willpower doesn't have to, and finally learning how to look at your life and say, I have enough.